Welcome to the Dozen Trivia Tournament 3 Selection Special presented by the clean all-day energy of Proper Wild. I am your host and Commissioner Jeff D'Lo, and we are about to see the 16 teams that will fight it out to become the third ever champions of the Dozen Trivia competition. Here is what you can expect with the bracket this year. 16 teams make it into the tournament, 8 of them left out, 4 are already relegated back in January. It films on May 22nd and 23rd in New York, with the first round airing on May 29th through the 1st of June. Doubleheaders all that week. The second round airs the 5th and 6th of June, a Monday and Tuesday, and then Thursday, June 8th, live from Chicago, the Final Four and Championship, all in one night on YouTube and BarstoolSports.com. The teams that got in were decided by 50% computer rankings and 50% fan vote. Any tie was broken by their final fan vote ranking. The first overall seed is the Yak. They get a bye, and the 15 and 16 seeds play in an automatic playing game. Niche categories reset for the tournament, and teams cannot repeat a niche until the title match. All right, let's get into the bracket with the Strawberry Kiwi region, which features our #1 overall seed. The Yak, the regular season champions of the Dozen, 7-2-1 on the season. They've been a force since the beginning when they won the Philadelphia Live event to kick the season off. One of 3 teams to win 7+ matches on the season. They are the second ever regular season champions. They joined the Frankettes, who won it in the first and second season. Keep in mind, though, the #1 overall seed, the regular season champion, has never even made it to the championship game. Stephen Shea, third team All-Dozen this year. Roan, an All-Star, and they're 7-1-1 in the season when Roan plays. They won in Philadelphia, as I mentioned. They won in New York, and they lost in overtime in the first round of the Battle for Arizona live event to the Experts. They're also 6-1-1 against Quad 1 and 2 teams this season. They are an absolute force and a very worthy #1 overall seed and regular season champion. They'll play the winner of the 8-9 matchup, the 8 seed. A new team this year, the Baddies, 5-2-0, and they had the hardest schedule on the season with an average rank of 7.86 per opponent. They're ranked 6th by the computers, TJ, Blaze, and Patty the Baddie, but the fans voted them 11th. That's why they dropped down to an 8 seed. Their matchup, the 9 seed. The defending champions, Uptown Balls, 4-4-1. They won the title last year as the 10 seed. They come into the tournament in shambles, a 3-match brutal losing streak for them. They lost by 6 points in their last match. However, 4 of their 5 losses this year were by 2 points or less. They're 2-3-1 in matches decided by 2 points or less. That was the case last year going into the tournament. They turned it around and they won it all. Glennie Ball's second team All-Dozen, an All-Star, and a Most Improved Player of the Year candidate. They've had a very tough schedule as well. The combined record of the teams they beat this year, 21-16-1. Combined record of the teams they lost to, 25-15-1. So the Strawberry Kiwi region, the Yak, the 1 seed, and the Baddies and Uptown Balls, the 8-9 matchup. All right, we move on to the Lemon Lime region where the 4 and 5 seeds are, and each season so far, the winner of this region has made it to the championship match. And that 4 seed will be Team Minahan, 7-2-0, voted 4th by the fans, ranked 4th by the computers. They are back in the tournament and looking for their first ever tournament win. They're 0-2-0 all time. Both times as a 2 seed, they lost in a huge upset in their first match. Kirk Minahan won back-to-back-to-back scoring titles, averaging over 8 points this season, the second time he's done it in his career. They're the 4th highest scoring team with 13.33 points per match. Second easiest schedule, however, among teams in the tournament. They've not played too many teams. They've lost in the first round of the Boston Live event to ZD. They've also been a mess in terms of their team format. They started the year with Kirk, Rico, and Big Ev, and then they lost Rico. It was Kirk, Quiggs, and Big Ev. And then a trade was made. Quiggs and Big Ev were traded to the family for Rico, Bosco, and John Rich. And then John Rich was traded and they got Quiggs back. So there have been a ton of moves for Kirk Minahan, who is looking to win his 3rd straight MVP. They will be taking on the 13 seed. Another new team this year, Macrodosing, 4-2-0, a team made up of 3 rookies, ranked a strong 12 by the fans, but 15 by the computers. Second lowest scoring team to qualify for the tournament with 10.25 points per match. That has definitely hurt their seeding. 0-2 versus Quad 1 teams, 4-0 versus Quad 2. And they have won 3 in a row, though one of those wins they had this year was against Smocken, and they were without Ken Jack. Like I mentioned, all 3 members, Mad Dog, Big T, and Arian Foster, are rookies. The 5 seed, And this is a team that is used to having that 1 seed. That is Frank and the Frankettes, 5-4-0. The season 1 and 2 regular season champions. They went to the Final Four last year and lost to the Experts before the championship match. 3 straight losses to end the year. They have not won since January 18th. KB and Nick, second and third team all dozen this year, top 15 in scoring. But Frank the Tank, who says the league has rigged it against them, might be bringing them down. He's ranked 37th, not helping the team very much this year. They won the Boston and New York live events, but lost early in the season in the first round to Philadelphia. First season without a bye. They've had a bye every single year. They lost their first match in the season 1 tournament. Last year, they won their first match and, like I said, lost in the Final Four. They'll be taking on a team that actually beat them in that season 1 tournament. The 12 seed is Gen XYZ. 4-3-0 on the season, their first season with a winning record. They upset a 1 seed in season 1 in the Frankettes. Then last year they won the playing game and then upset Team Minahan. They made the Final Four in that season 1 tournament. They're 4-2-0 all time in the tournament, 5-2-0 in in-person matches. When the lights are on, XYZ has performed. So it's Minahan versus Macrodosing, the 4-13, and Frankettes versus Gen XYZ, the 5-12. All right, we move on down to the Apple region, which features our 3 seed. ZD, that's right, another Final Four team from last year. ZD, led by Dave Portnoy, Eddie, and Clem, 6-3-1 on the season. The highest scoring team in the dozen for season 3 with 13.9 points per match. Eddie and Clem were ranked 2nd and 3rd in individual scoring. Eddie, the 2nd ever person to average 8 points plus the entire season per match. Dave, also a candidate for Captain of the Year. They lost in the title matches in 2 live events. In Boston, they beat Team Minahan, then lost to the Frankettes. And in Arizona, they beat the Chicklets and then lost to the Experts in the final round, just like they did actually in Boston, the Frankettes. They're 1-3-1 in matches decided by 2 points or less. Every single one of ZD's losses has been by exactly 1 point. They were nearly undefeated if you consider that being pretty dang close to a bunch of different wins. Only 1 back-to-back match streak. ZD 1-3-1 in matches decided by 2 points or less this season. I mean, I guess you could look at it like they almost went undefeated. Every loss was decided by exactly 1 point. They lost a match by 1 point to a team that didn't miss one of their questions at one point this season. So it's been really close for ZD all year at 6-3-1. And they only had a 2-match winning streak 1 time this year. They'll be taking on the 14 seed Flux, another new team this year. 3-5-0, Chris Castellani and Joey Camasta, and they'll be having a fill-in as they do not have Ben Mintz anymore. Stu Feiner filling in for Mincy with Flux. That matchup, the winner will take on the winner of the 6-11 matchup, the 6 seed. The Big Screamin' Honkers, the season 1 champions, 5-4-1 on the year, but 4-2-0 since trading for Chris Klemmer and adding Gia, Robbie Fox, up for Captain of the Year. Obviously, he made that massive move, which turned the Honkers season around because they were terrible at one point. Like I said, they won that season 1 tournament. They've scored 12+ points in every single match since December 13th. They've turned into an absolute wagon, one of 2 teams undefeated also in the celebrity mashup category. However, that loss to foreplay to end the season knocked them down on the seed line big time to the 6th seed. They'll be taking on the 11 seed, a fan favorite, the Booze Ponies, 3-4-1. They're 3-2-1 since adding fights and a swap for Chef Donnie back in December. Easiest schedule, though, out of any team currently in the tournament. The record of the teams they defeated, 5-9-1. They've not beat many teams. However, again, at 3-4-1, the fan vote did them favors. They were ranked 16th by the computers, but fans had them 6th. So the Apple region, it's ZD, the 3 seed, against 14 seed Flux, and 6 seed Big Screamin' Honkers against 11 seed Booze Ponies. Now to the final region, the Peach Mango region, where we have our 2 seed. The Experts, their highest seed ever. They've been a 5 seed in each of the first 2 tournaments, and at the time, before they lost the regular season championship to the Yak, they had what you could consider probably the most decorated regular season resume of all time. 7-2-0 against the top 8 seeds in the tournament, 5-2-0 against Quad 1 teams. At one point, they beat, in order, the Yak, ZD, Frankettes, and Minahan, all 4 of the other top 5 seeds, including them. They won 8 in a row at one point. They're 19-0 in Celebrity Mashup, 15-0 on double questions, 15-0 on their own niche questions. They're also 16-0 technically on niche. They stole one at one point this year. Fran, Brandon, and PFT all top 20 in scoring on the season. All 4 of their losses by 2 points or less, and they're actually 11-3-0 when Brandon plays. He was out in the beginning of the season when they lost in Philadelphia. So the experts are the 2 seed. We'll get to the playing game in a second. The 7-10 matchup, the 7 seed. 5-3-0, your mom. They're 4-1-0 in their last 5 matches. The hottest team here at the end of the season. They got upset by ZD last year as a 6 seed, but then in a little revenge, I mentioned this earlier when talking about ZD, your mom was the team that hit all 12 of their own questions against ZD, the first team to ever do that in a match. Record of teams they lost to, 16-8-1. Your mom is very battle-tested, and they've been hungry since losing last year in the first round. They'll be taking on a 10 seed. Last year, a 10 seed won the whole thing. It's 3-3-2 Smockin. Really, they had a similar season to that of Uptown Balls last year, who won the tournament. Had a really hard schedule. Uptown Balls last year was 4-3-2. They were a 7 seed and lost to Uptown Balls last year. Titus this year, a top 10 scorer. Kenjack's been great, a top 20 scorer as well. All their losses were by 2 points or less, and they even played one of those matches without Kenjack for the first half. And now let's get to the final 2 teams in the tournament. The 15 seed playing in the playing game. The winner of this game will take on the experts. It is the Misfits. 4-4-0 on the season. They beat Chicago in the final match of the year to seal the deal. Ranked 12th by computers, but 17th by the fans, so they definitely needed that win. 3 of their losses came to the Frankettes, experts, and Minahan. So you want to talk about battle-tested. The Misfits could say that as well. They made the Final Four in their first season, but only one member from that team is still here, Dante. Keegs has been great, though. Keegs, one of the better players this year. She is on an all-dozen team. And they'll be taking on the last team into the field, the 16 seed, the family. That's right, Big Ev, the first team out the first 2 seasons. He finally gets into the tournament. They almost slid out of the tournament, so they were ranked 18th by the fans. They lost to the Booze Ponies in their last match of the year. They have a win over ZD, and that absolutely saved them. They're another team that had a ton of movement. Fights quit the team at one point. They added Rico. Then John Rich traded himself and Rico to Team Minahan. And then Kirk traded John Rich back to this team for Quiggs. So they've been a mess, but now it's Big Ev, Reegs, and John Rich. They'll take on the Misfits with the winner playing the experts. All right, let's take a look at those last 4 teams into the tournament. The 13 seed macrodosing, like we said, strong fan vote, weak computer ranking. 14 seed Flux, Stu Feiner filling in for Mincy. The 15 seed is the Misfits. They really did need that win. That fan vote was low, or they would have likely been out. And the 16 seed is the family, the last team to sneak in. And we got to say it, they lucked out, because when you look at the first 4 teams out, 4 play, 17th, the first team out for the second year in a row, they cannot play. There's a Barstool Classic on the day of the tournament. They actually were tied with the family in terms of ranking, and they would have won the tiebreaker over the family with the fan vote, but they cannot play, so they're bumped out of the tournament. The 18-ranked team is Chicago. They are 2 slots out of the tournament. They ended 2-6-0 on the season, just did not play well enough. Lost 4 in a row, and their only win since the beginning of the season was against Foreplay, which did not help them. Solid fan vote, but not enough. Chicago is one of the 2 original teams that we have in these first 4 teams out to not make the tournament for the first time ever. That other team being Spit and Chicklets. They were not able to play enough matches, and their 2 wins weren't quality as it is. And then Swamp Ass, number 20, the 4th of the first 4 teams out. Combined record of their wins was 3-11-0. They had a weak resume. And the top 4 seeds, all these teams were voted by the fans 1, 2, 3, 4 in order. The Yak, automatically the 1 seed. They won the crown. Second ever regular season champion, joining the Frankettes. The 2 seed, the experts. 2 seed 0-2-0 all time in the tournament. Minahan was the 2 seed in the first and second tournament. They lost in their first match, as we mentioned. The 3 seed is ZD, made the Final Four last season. And Team Minahan, like we said, looking for their first ever tournament win. They are the 4 seed. All right, let's get a look now at the full bracket. Scan it over. Who do you think's going to win? Reminder, the first season, the Final Four was a 9 seed, a 4 seed, which ended up being the champion, a 3 seed, and a 7 seed. And last year, the Final Four was the 1 seed, the 5 seed, the 11 seed, and the 10 seed. One of these 16 teams is going to win it all. The Dozen Season 3, the Dozen Trivia Tournament 3 Championship. All right, let's end it with the regular season awards. The end of season awards voted on by you, the fans. Let's start out with the all-dozen teams. Third team all-dozen, Stephen Shea of the Yak. Chief of Chicago, strong year despite them missing the tournament. Gia sneaks in there as a rookie from the Honkers. Dana Beers making third team from the Booze Ponies. And KB makes another all-dozen team from the Frankettes. Second team all-dozen, Mark Titus from Smocking, Glennie Balls, big season for him from Uptown Balls, Robbie Fox from the Honkers, Keegs from the Misfits, Nick from the Frankettes makes another all-dozen team, and PFT from the Experts makes another all-dozen team as well. And first team all-dozen, Kirk Minahan, once again, 3 straight years. Fran makes her first ever all-dozen team. Same with Eddie and Clem. And then a 5th person, Brandon Walker, would have made the team, but due to a cheating scandal, this has been vacated and redacted. He is not going to get this honor. And now to the individual awards. The Sportsman of the Year, the fewest complaints on the season, goes to Jack McCarthy of your mom. He complained less than anybody. He'll get a little handshake emoji patch on his jersey. Jack McCarthy, Sportsman of the Year. Now the candidates for Most Improved Player of the Year. From the Booze Ponies, Dana Beers went from 4.67 points per match to 6.48. Eddie from ZD went from 3.7 points per match to 8.05. He lost the scoring title by 0.01 points. Glennie Balls from Uptown Balls went from 5.11 points per match to 6.57. And Kelly Keegs from the Misfits averaged 3.50 points per match last year and averaged 7.04 points this year. And the Most Improved Player of the Year is Eddie from Team ZD. Like I said, he almost won the scoring title. Eddie has been an absolute dominant force and a big reason why ZD is one of the favorites to win the whole thing. Next up, first time we're ever awarding this, it's Captain of the Year. The nominees are Dave Portnoy from ZD, final answer, the highest scoring team in the league. He is easily the fastest final answer guy in the league without Dave. Eddie and Clem, not sure they would be ranked where they are in terms of scoring. Kirk Minahan finished 7-2-0 and also had 7 different player transactions this year. That's pretty tough to do. Robbie Fox from the Big Screamin' Honkers retooled his team, traded for Clemmer, added Gia, and they finished the year 4-1-1. And then from the Booze Ponies, Will Compton added fights, and then they had a big turnaround. And also, let's just say it, Will Compton, the good vibes guy. And the winner of Captain of the Year, they're going to get a captain patch on their jersey in the tournament. It's Dave Portnoy. Like we said, final answered, 2 of the top 3 players this season in terms of points per match. Once Dave was added to ZD, they became a much different squad last year, making a Final Four and now ending the year with a top 3 seed. The Rookie of the Year nominees are, from the Baddies, Blaze, a top 25 scorer, averaged 5.86 points per match. Chris Clemmer, another top 25 scorer, also 9-2 as a call-a-friend, the most phoned person on the dozen this year. 9-1 in baseball. He missed 1 time, and that was NFL. People regretted doing that, so he really was only called for baseball. Ebo from Swamp Ass, they didn't make the tournament, but Ebo was a top 20 scorer, scoring 6.36 points per match. And finally, Gia, a top 10 scorer. She finished the year with 6.64 points per match. And the winner of Rookie of the Year is Gia. Top 10 scorer, seemed like a no-brainer. She ran away with the vote, and she is Rookie of the Year for Season 3. And finally, MVP. The candidates are Clem, finished top 5 in scoring and an all-star for the 2nd straight season for a dominant ZD team. Eddie lost that scoring title by only 0.01 points per match and joined Kirk Minahan as the 2nd ever player to average 8+ points per match in a season. Fran, 19-0 in double questions, also did not miss a niche all year round. When it's worth 2 points, Fran always shows up. And finally, Kirk won 3 straight scoring titles and looking for his 3rd straight MVP. And the MVP of the dozen Season 3 is, once again, Kirk Minahan. He has not lost this award. He's won it all 3 seasons, though this year he said doesn't really care about it. Just looking for that first tournament win and a title after that. All right, so there we have it, the award winners for this season of the dozen and the bracket. 16 teams. It's going to be quite the tournament. Once again, one of those teams will be the 3rd ever champion of the dozen trivia competition. It starts airing the 29th of May and ends live on YouTube and BarstoolSports.com from Chicago, the Final Four and Championship on June 8th. Thank you for watching. It's been a great regular season. Thank you for always tuning in. We will see you in 2 weeks for the tournament.